While the balance of power in Congress and the General Assembly is something we've been talking a lot about, there is another important shift to discuss. Republican justices won the majority of the North Carolina Supreme Court.
WRAL's Cullen Browder is here now to explain the significance and why the change will stay in place for several years. Cullen.
So Deborah and Dan, state Supreme Court justices serve 8-year terms and elections are staggered, so the whole court isn't up for re-election at the same time. So barring resignations, last night's result give Republicans majority power on the court for at least 6 straight years. While most North Carolinians might struggle to even name members of the state Supreme Court, the body holds great power interpreting legislative decisions.
I'm glad to say that state nightmare is finally over with.
Democrats came into election night with a 4-3 edge, but voters decided to flip control to a 5-2 GOP advantage. Richard Dietz filled the seat being vacated by Robin Hudson, and Trey Allen beat Sam Ervin. Recent elections give Republicans the Chief Justice and Paul Newby and ensure a GOP advantage until at least 2028.
That vote was a complete repudiation.
Republican legislative leaders believe voters rejected Democrat-led judicial activism.
And that's good not just for Republicans, that's good for everybody that wants tough laws when it comes to sex offenders, that wants to ensure that the rights of the people were upheld.
This is not a unique circumstance in the history of North Carolina.
Former state Supreme Court Justice Bob Wart knows. As a Republican, he served in the minority in the 90s and then the majority that overturned Democrat-drawn voting maps in 2002.
The Constitution is there for the purpose of putting limitations on the General Assembly, regardless which party controls it.
However, Orr predicts the new court will more likely uphold controversial issues coming from the GOP-led legislature, like abortion and voting restrictions, redistricting, and education funding requirements in the Leandro case.
This is a group that is going to give enormous deference to any act the General Assembly passes.
This former justice hopes, no matter party affiliation, justices will rule independently on the law.
What I'm worried about is all the people that helped elect them, who don't want that.
Former Justice Orr changed from Republican to unaffiliated after the January 6th attack on the Capitol in 2021. There was clearly a red wave in the statewide judicial races last night. In addition to the high court seats, Republicans won all 4 Court of Appeals races on the ballot. Deborah.
Quite an interesting take on what happened last night. Cullen Browder reporting. Thank you, Cullen.